Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 8, The Zombie Code. Season 2, Episode 8, Grotesque. When last we saw our group, their hard-won respite at the Abigail compound had ended in literal flames, and families were split apart. Travis refused to leave his troubled son Chris, who'd run away in shame after he froze in the middle of a horde attack. Nick, who'd fallen under the spell of the compound matriarch, Celia, disappeared into a mob of the undead rather than join his sister Alicia and mother, Madison, as they ventured out with Strand to see if the yacht was still in the bay. Daniel is the one who set fire to the compound, so it is unclear if he made it out alive. And who cares about Ophelia? Grotesque, the mid-season premiere focused entirely on Nick's efforts to survive trekking across a brutal desert overrun by gun-toting thugs and feral dogs. But Mad Max, Fury Road, this was not. There was no bombast or high-octane action. Rather, the most tense moment hinged on a janky old radio turning on, and it was great television. Centering the drama of an episode on one character is always risky. They had better be deserving of our attention. Nick is only sober because he happens to be an addict during the apocalypse, when pills and heroin are especially hard to come by. It follows that Nick suffers from the same affliction as all television characters who are addicts, not particularly original storytelling. I am far more fascinated watching his desperate attempts to crack open desert cactuses than I am in watching a flashback about how his father's death influenced his drug use. May I pause here to say that while Alicia has looked particularly dewy during this meltdown of civilization, and the newcomer Luciana has a gorilla chic look of an SLA member, Nick's rehab girlfriend, who is ostensibly there to kick heroin, looked as if she'd just wandered out of a Maddie Well catalog. When the episode opens, Nick has found shelter with yet another mother figure who gives him some water and points him in the direction of Tijuana. He encounters the aforementioned thugs, some very hungry dogs, very little water, and is nearly on the brink of death when he is saved by Luciana and two of her compatriots, who bring Nick to their extensive base camp where there are doctors and children playing. The pitch for Fear the Walking Dead was always that it would show how civilization broke down to the point we see in the other show where lawlessness is complete and even the most basic of choices presents a moral quandary. While the first, considerably shorter, season of Fear the Walking Dead featured some storylines about the military and governmental response to the turn, the scope of the show is now as limited as The Walking Dead, and we are just as ignorant of the larger world and its downfall. The only thing separating the shows is geography. This series' focus on border life between Southern California and Mexico is arguably the strongest aspect of the show. For one thing, it has featured considerable Hispanic talent, still largely absent from the cable networks. There is also a larger conversation that is being played out about the fluidity of cultural identity and the arbitrariness of borders. The ones without walls, anyway. Given that our characters have spent the majority of the season on a boat where only the Coast Guard really understands how exactly national borders work at sea, most of the time we don't know if they're in America or Mexico. Language is no indication of nationality or geography, given that more than half of Los Angelenos do not speak English in their homes. And why should it matter anyway? If a zombie apocalypse was really upon us, what difference would it make if we are stereotypically wealthy Americans or cliched impoverished Mexicans? Or vice versa? In the words of the stand-up comedian and writer Patton Oswalt, there wouldn't be any more black, white, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat. It would just be the living and the bloodthirsty dead. It would be a world at peace. But also, who remembered to fill their canteen, and who didn't? Fear the Walking Dead isn't the first apocalypse narrative to comment on economic disparity. The Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid climate change clunker The Day After Tomorrow hinge around Northern Hemisphere countries forgiving the debt of Southern Hemisphere neighbors just to evade the devastation of the melting North Pole. Don't pretend like you don't remember that poor countries could become the saviors to their richer, More pale northern neighbors was somehow treated as a shocking plot twist was distasteful to say the least, but Fear the Walking Dead has bypassed that unfortunate political sinkhole by reminding us of the purity of the zombie code. They don't care who you are, where you come from, what drugs you do, or how pretty you look even when you're kicking heroin in rehab. Do you have brains? Great. You're in. Welcome.